The carriage for the President had been tended for the occasion by Colonel Lieutenant Lomax. The President was accompanied by Vice President-elect Stevens, Reverend Dr. Basil Manley, Chaplain of the Day, and Captain George Jones, personal military escort for Mr. Davies. B. Moore, Governor of the State of Alabama, by virtue of the power vested in me by the foregoing resolutions, do hereby proclaim and make known to the people of Alabama that the contingency contemplated has happened in the election of Abraham Lincoln to the presidency of the United States. The voters are hereby called upon to assemble at the several places of voting to elect delegates to a convention of the State of Alabama on Monday, the 7th day of January, 1861. To consider, determine, and do whatever in the opinion of said convention the rights and interests of Alabama requires to be done for their protection. Looks like something's happened. Let's move in a mite closer.
And something did happen. Decisions had been made, and to a vote of 61 to 39, Alabama seceded.
Alabama secede!
Whereas the election of Abraham Lincoln and Hannibal Hamlin to the offices of President and Vice President of the United States of America, a sectional party avowedly hostile to the domestic institution and to the peace and security of the people of the state of Alabama, preceded by many and dangerous infractions of the Constitution of the United States by many of the states and the people of the North section, is a political wrong of so insulting and menacing character as to justify the people of the state of Alabama in the adoption of prompt and decided measures for their future peace and security. Therefore be it declared and ordained by the people of the state of Alabama in convention assembled that the state of Alabama now withdraws and is hereby withdrawn from the Union known as the United States, and henceforth ceases to be one of the said United States, and is of right to be a sovereign and independent state.
Mississippi had seceded only 2 days before, and Florida a day after, and now Alabama. Georgia and Louisiana, in a matter of days, became a part of the secession picture.
At the suggestion of South Carolina, representatives of 6 states and at the invitation of Alabama decided to meet February 4th in Montgomery to organize a new confederation. Our town was destined to play the role as the cradle of the Confederacy. Montgomery was to be the focal point which destiny had decreed a new government would be born. New leaders would arise, and a way of life preserved for future centuries. With secession, many thought of new hopes, new horizons, but the measuring sands of time would forecast otherwise, as future pages of history would reveal.
Spectators had gathered to see the first Confederate flag wave over the Capitol the very next day.
As the cannons boomed, the flag was raised by Miss Letitia Tyler, who was the daughter of Colonel Robert Tyler and granddaughter of John Tyler, former President of the United States. Miss Tyler was visiting her family near Montgomery at the time.
This is Alabama's Capitol building, unique, for within its walls was born a nation. This is the way the original structure looked. No dome, no north or south wings, and without the beautiful Corinthian columns. It burned in 1849. Today, the new Capitol, completed in 1851, stands on the foundation of the old, housing modern government machinery, but with strong bonds to the past. The giant rotunda is capped by a 97-foot dome. It has been described as particularly pure and beautiful in design. Perhaps the most striking feature in the Capitol is the three-story, self-supporting double stairway. A northern architect, moved by the sweeping, unhampered line, said, "They are a marvelous creation, unsurpassed throughout the North American continent." They are beautiful in architectural detail, of general excellence in proportion, a monument to the mind that conceived it and to the hand that built it, an inspiration to the student and a joy and delight to all who appreciate the beautiful. On the second floor of the building beats the very heart of the state of Alabama. Occupied by the House of Representatives and the Senate chamber, here is found representative government in its purest form. It was here that the Alabama Secession Convention was held in January of 1861. It was a time of tremendous excitement. State after state was seceding. From this chair in the Senate, a young man, William L. Yancey, molding the crowd with fiery oratory, presented his famous Alabama platform. A sweeping conviction for states' rights. It was adopted word for word. Less than a month later, other southern states began sending delegates to Montgomery to form a new confederacy. On February 4th, 1861, these delegates organized the Confederate States of America. A new nation was born. This document constituted the most awful challenge ever to the government of the United States, a challenge that required 4 years of carnage to settle. 2 weeks later, Montgomery's 10,000 population was swelled by the hundreds for the inauguration of Jefferson Davis as the President of the Confederacy. The brass star on the porch marks the exact spot where Davis stood to receive his oath of office. Mississippian Jefferson Davis, a stirring, dedicated man, became the father of a new country, and in turn gave the city the name Cradle of the Confederacy. Many of these historic events are recorded in the Mackenzie murals located on the third floor of the Capitol. Mackenzie completed his work in the late 1930s under Governor Bibb Graves. That's Alabama's Capitol. More than a state house, rather a monument to the strength of a nation and the free thinking men who make up that nation. Capitol Hill was deeded to the state in the early 1800s by the town of New Philadelphia, one of Montgomery's ancestors. The founder of New Philadelphia and the man for whom Dexter Avenue is named, Andrew Dexter, predicted that one day the town he founded would become the capital of the state, and so set aside the present site for the Capitol building. A 19th century cannon rests quietly on the grounds in its stone carriage, its muzzle still yawning, a monument now and rich in history. It was sent to Montgomery at the outbreak of the Civil War from a fort at Pensacola. Nearby, a flagpole stands much more solidly now than earlier. It was taken from a Spanish ship sunk during the Battle of Santiago. Other statues occupy the front lawn, that of John Allen White, Alabama doctor and founder of the New York Polyclinic Medical School and Hospital. James Marion Sims, the founder of the Women's Hospital in New York City and the first such hospital ever in the nation in Montgomery. The clock mounting the top of the Capitol dome can accurately be described as very old. It has been mounted in its present position since 1852, and before that had served as the Montgomery town clock for many years. Some of the official state travel folders beg pardon for its sometime misinformation, citing the above reason.
distinguished guests, and fellow citizens. It is my unique pleasure at this time to introduce the President-elect of the Confederacy, Honorable Jefferson Davis.
Gentlemen of the Congress of the Confederate States, friends and fellow citizens, called to the difficult and responsible station of Chief Executive of the provisional government which you have instituted, I approach the discharge of the duties assigned to me with an humble distrust of my abilities, but with a sustaining confidence in the wisdom of those who are to guide and aid me in the administration of public affairs, and an abiding faith in the virtue and patriotism of our people. Looking forward to the speedy establishment of a permanent government to take the place of this, and which by its greater moral and physical power will be better able to combat the many difficulties which arise from the conflicting interests of separate nations, I enter upon the duties of the office for which I have been chosen with the hope that the beginning of our career as a confederacy may not be obstructed by hostile opposition to our enjoyment of the separate existence and independence which we have asserted and which, with the blessing of Providence, we intend to maintain.